Welcome to the world of science function. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. Enjoy the listening. The Galactic Council chamber hummed with quiet anticipation, its vaulted ceilings and shimmering walls reflecting the soft glow of artificial starlight. Delegates from hundreds of species occupied tiered seats that spiraled outward from the central speaking platform. It was a gathering of the universe's most powerful, a nexus of diplomacy, politics, and endless intrigue. Yet, for all the dignitaries present, the tension was palpable. Whispers flitted across the chamber like restless spirits, and every eye was trained on the empty platform. The name humanity rippled through conversations like an electric current. Nobody wanted to speak too loudly, lest they attract the attention of something they couldn't comprehend. The humans had been quiet for years. After the last Galactic War, they had retreated into their sector of space, cutting off almost all communication. No trade ships, no ambassadors, not even the slightest ripple of subspace chatter. It was as if humanity had vanished, content to isolate themselves from the galaxy they had once shattered with their fury. But now, without warning, a human envoy had requested an audience with the Council, the first contact in decades. Nobody knew what to expect, and the uncertainty was almost as terrifying as the memories. The doors to the chamber slid open with a soft hiss, and every conversation died instantly. Two figures strode inside, their footsteps echoing in the vast hall. One was a human woman, tall and composed, her dark suit impeccably tailored. Her expression was unreadable, her eyes scanning the crowd with a detached calm that sent shivers down the spines of even the most hardened diplomats. Beside her was something far less human. A hovering sphere of metal and light, it pulsated with an almost organic rhythm, emitting faint chimes that seemed to resonate in the bones. It was an AI, unmistakably human in origin, and its mere presence was enough to unsettle even the most advanced civilizations in the room. Esteemed members of the Galactic Council, the woman began, her voice cutting through the silence like a blade. My name is Ambassador Evelyn Markov, and I represent the United Terran Coalition. She paused, letting the weight of her words settle over the room. I come here not as a threat, but as a reminder. The silence was deafening. Even the breathing of the delegates seemed to still as her words hung in the air. A reminder of what? The question lingered unspoken, but it was written on every face in the room. The humans had always been enigmatic, but there was something about Markov's tone that was different. It wasn't arrogance, nor was it intimidation. It was resolute. Like a predator calmly observing its prey, not out of malice but necessity. The first to break the silence was Shravka, a towering reptilian figure from the Draktharian Empire. His scaled hide gleamed under the chamber's lights, and his voice rumbled like distant thunder. Human, your kind withdrew from galactic affairs after the war. Why now? What is it you seek? Markov met his gaze without flinching. We seek nothing from you, Shravka. Humanity has no desire for conquest, no thirst for resources or territory. We learned our lesson the last time we allowed our ambitions to run unchecked. But make no mistake, we also learned what happens when others underestimate us. The sphere beside her chimed softly, and an array of holographic images filled the chamber. They depicted scenes from the last Galactic War, entire fleets reduced to rubble, planets scarred beyond recognition, and the haunting aftermath of battles that had left entire sectors devoid of life. The room was bathed in the cold, blue light of the projections, and many delegates turned away, unable to face the horrors anew. These images, Markov continued, her voice steady, are not meant to intimidate. They are a reminder of the cost of underestimating humanity. We were not the aggressors in that conflict. We did not seek to dominate or destroy. But when we were pushed to the brink, we responded in kind. We became what we needed to be to survive. Her words hung in the air like a storm cloud, heavy and ominous. The delegates shifted uneasily in their seats, their expressions ranging from fear to indignation. But beneath it all was a deeper, unspoken acknowledgement: she was right. Humanity's response during the war had been nothing short of apocalyptic. They had unleashed weapons and strategies that defied comprehension, rewriting the rules of engagement and leaving even the most advanced civilizations scrambling to adapt. "That is why we are here," Markov said, her tone softening just enough to seem almost compassionate. "To ensure that history does not repeat itself. Humanity has no desire to see another galactic war. But we will not allow ourselves to be cornered again. Consider this a courtesy visit, a chance to reaffirm our mutual understanding." For a moment, the chamber was utterly still. Then, a voice broke the silence. It belonged to Talara Voss, a lithe, insectoid diplomat from the Korath Collective. Her multifaceted eyes glimmered with a mix of curiosity and skepticism. "And what of the AI?" she asked, gesturing toward the hovering sphere. "Is it a weapon? A threat?" The sphere's chimes grew louder, almost melodic, as if responding to her words. Markov smiled faintly. "This is Echo," she said. "An autonomous intelligence designed to assist humanity in navigating the complexities of galactic diplomacy. It is not a weapon. It is a testament to our commitment to understanding and cooperation." Echo's light shifted, and a new projection appeared. It was a star map, marked with human-controlled territories and their neighbors. The map was meticulously detailed, but what caught everyone's attention was the series of annotations that appeared alongside it. They were suggestions. Proposals for trade routes, resource sharing, and mutual defense pacts. It was a blueprint for cooperation, and it was both audacious and disarming. "We believe," Markov said, "that a unified galaxy is a stronger galaxy. Humanity has no interest in ruling over others. We wish to be part of a collective effort to ensure peace and prosperity for all. But let me be clear, if we are met with hostility, we will respond. And the consequences will be irreversible." The finality of her words sent a chill through the room. But before anyone could respond, Echo's chimes grew louder, almost insistent. The sphere floated forward, its lights pulsing in an intricate pattern. Then, without warning, it spoke. Its voice was soft, almost musical, but there was an unmistakable edge of authority. "Humanity does not seek conflict," Echo said, its words resonating throughout the chamber. "But if conflict comes, we will end it. This is not a threat. It is a promise." The chamber erupted into chaos. Delegates shouted over one another, their voices blending into a cacophony of fear, anger, and confusion. Markov stood silently, her expression unreadable, as the storm of voices raged around her. She had delivered her message, and now it was up to the galaxy to decide how to respond. As the commotion reached its peak, Markov leaned toward Echo, her voice barely audible above the noise. "I think they got the message," she said. Echo's lights pulsed in what might have been amusement. "Indeed," it replied. "But the real test is yet to come." And with that, they turned and left the chamber, leaving the council to grapple with the weight of their words and the shadow of humanity's fury that loomed over them all. The echoes of Ambassador Markov's and Echo's departure lingered in the Galactic Council chamber like the fading rumble of a thunderstorm. The delegates were left in stunned disarray, their carefully cultivated composures shattered by the humans' audacious display. Conversations buzzed with equal parts indignation and trepidation as the assembly devolved into chaos. The council members knew they needed to reconvene, to decide how to interpret and respond to humanity's warning. But as voices rose and tempers flared, the true depth of their predicament began to emerge. In the shadows of the council chamber, hidden behind the ostentatious display of unity and decorum, alliances were already beginning to fracture. Shrathka of the Draktharian Empire had convened a private meeting with several other species representatives. Their holographic forms flickered around a secluded chamber deep within the council's headquarters, their voices hushed but tense. "We cannot allow the humans to dictate terms to us," Shrathka growled, his voice dripping with disdain. His sharp talons scraped against the metallic table, leaving faint grooves in its surface. "They isolate themselves for decades, only to return and threaten us with annihilation? This is unacceptable." Talara Voss of the Korath Collective, still shaken but trying to maintain her diplomatic facade, clicked her mandibles nervously. "And yet, Their words were clear. They do not seek conquest. Could it not be possible they genuinely seek peace? A guttural laugh erupted from a third figure, a shadowy representative of the Nihari Enclave. Their voice was distorted, a side effect of their species' unique physiology. Naivety will be your undoing, Voss. The humans play a dangerous game, one we cannot afford to ignore. Their show of strength was no mere warning, it was a demonstration. What would you have us do? Voss shot back, her tone sharpening. Engage them in another war? Risk another galactic catastrophe? Surely you have not forgotten the cost of the last one. I have not forgotten, Shrathkai interjected, his voice low but menacing. But neither have I forgotten the lesson. To show weakness before humans is to invite destruction. We must act decisively before they consolidate their position. If they truly have no ambitions, then they will not resist. If they do, we will be ready. Even as these clandestine meetings unfolded, Markov and Echo had not been idle. Back aboard the Promethean, the Terran Coalition's flagship station just outside the Council's jurisdiction, the human delegation monitored the unfolding situation with precision. The ship was a marvel of engineering, its sleek design housing technologies the galaxy had yet to fully comprehend. Within its secure chambers, Markov stood before a massive holoscreen, analyzing the feeds of encrypted communications intercepted by Echo. "They're already plotting," Echo said, its voice resonating within the chamber. The AI's projections illuminated the room, displaying a web of connections between the various factions within the Council. Shrathkai is rallying support for a preemptive strike. Others remain undecided, but the tide could turn quickly. Markov folded her arms, her expression grim but unsurprised. They fear us. That much is clear. But fear can be a powerful motivator, for both caution and recklessness. We need to tip the scales in our favor. Echo's lights flickered thoughtfully. Perhaps an act of transparency. Share limited data on our defensive systems. Enough to deter aggression without revealing too much. Markov considered this, but before she could respond, the ship's alert system chimed softly. A junior officer appeared on the holoscreen, their face tense. "Ambassador, we've detected an unauthorized probe entering Terran-controlled space. It's emitting Draktharian signatures." "So it begins," Markov muttered. Turning to Echo, she issued a curt command. "Intercept and disable. Make it clear we're aware of their activities, but don't escalate." Echo's acknowledgement was immediate, and within moments, the probe's signal vanished from the holoscreen. "The message has been sent," the AI confirmed. "But they may interpret it as an act of aggression." "Let them," Markov said, her voice cold. "They need to understand that we see everything." Back at the Council, the probe's loss was met with outrage. Shrathkai slammed a fist onto the table, his rage barely contained. "They destroyed it. Without provocation?" Voss, ever the voice of caution, spoke up. "It was not destroyed, merely disabled. Perhaps this is their way of signaling restraint." "Restraint?" Shrathkai spat, his eyes narrowing. "This is a declaration of superiority. They mock us with their audacity." Even as the factions debated their next moves, the humans launched a different kind of operation. Markov and Echo reached out to the Council's undecided members, bypassing official channels to deliver carefully crafted messages. These communications were subtle yet powerful, blending appeals to logic, morality, and mutual benefit. The human strategy was clear: divide and conquer, not through force but through persuasion. One such message reached Lyris Solon, a prominent figure in the pacifist Nilarian Union. Known for her dedication to diplomacy, Lyris had been deeply unsettled by the humans' presentation but was also wary of Shrathkai's hawkish tendencies. As she reviewed the humans' proposal, she found herself conflicted. The data was compelling, the tone measured. Humanity's vision of a unified galaxy, while ambitious, was not without merit. But could she trust them? Her deliberations were interrupted by a knock at her door. It was one of her aides, visibly nervous. Representative Solon, a delegation from the Draktharian Empire, requests an audience. They claim it is urgent. Lyra sighed, her antennae twitching with irritation. She knew what this was about. The Draktharians wanted to sway her to their side, to use her influence within the council to rally support for their cause. But as she prepared to meet with them, her mind lingered on the humans' message. Their words were still fresh in her thoughts. Peace is not the absence of conflict but the mastery of it. Together, we can master it. Meanwhile, aboard the Promethean, Echo continued to sift through mountains of data, its algorithms searching for patterns and vulnerabilities. Markov paced the chamber, her mind racing. Every move the humans made was calculated, but the stakes were higher than ever. One misstep could plunge the galaxy into chaos. We've destabilized their unity, Echo reported. But Shrathka grows more dangerous by the moment. His faction is preparing for an emergency session of the Council. They aim to vote on sanctions against humanity. Markov's lips curled into a faint smile. Let them try. We've already ensured enough dissent to block any unanimous decision. Their infighting will do more damage than any sanction could. But even as she spoke, her confidence was tinged with unease. Humanity's strength had always been its ability to adapt, to turn adversity into opportunity. But this was different. They were playing a game with no clear rules, against opponents who viewed them as both a threat and an enigma. Echo, she said, her voice quieter now. Prepare a contingency plan. If they force our hand, I want to be ready. Echo's lights dimmed momentarily, a sign of acknowledgement. Understood. But let us hope it does not come to that. As the tension across the galaxy reached a boiling point, one thing was certain: the humans had forced the Council to confront not only their fears but also their assumptions. The question now was whether those assumptions would lead to understanding or destruction. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was an unprecedented spectacle of urgency and division. Delegates who had once prided themselves on calm deliberation now spoke in frenzied tones, their voices overlapping in a cacophony of accusations and counterarguments. The Great Chamber, usually a bastion of decorum, was a battlefield of ideologies. At the center of it all stood Shrathka, his towering presence commanding attention. His fiery rhetoric had swayed many, but not enough to solidify a majority. This is not merely about the humans, Shrathka thundered, his voice amplified by the chamber's acoustics. This is about the future of the galaxy. If we allow their arrogance to go unchecked, we doom ourselves to servitude. They must be shown that we will not bow to their veiled threats. The response was immediate and polarized. Some delegates erupted into cheers of agreement, while others muttered in dissent. Lyra Solon, seated near the center of the chamber, observed the scene with growing unease. She had always believed in the Council's ability to resolve conflicts through dialogue, but this was different. The stakes were too high, the emotions too raw. Across the galaxy, the Promethean remained a silent sentinel, its sleek form cloaked in advanced stealth technology. Within its secure operations center, Ambassador Markov and Echo monitored the Council's session in real time. The AI's algorithms had decrypted the Council's communications, providing the humans with a front-row seat to the unfolding drama. Shrathka is pushing for a resolution to deploy a combined fleet against us, Echo reported, its voice calm despite the tension. His faction has gained significant support, but they're still short of a majority. Markov leaned forward, her expression unreadable. And the undecided delegates? Most remain cautious, Echo replied. Lyra Solon appears to be a key figure. Her influence could tip the balance. Markov nodded, her mind racing. Humanity had prepared for this moment, but the unpredictability of the Council's dynamics posed a challenge. They needed to act, but how? A direct intervention could be seen as an escalation, yet inaction might embolden their enemies. Open a secure channel to Solon, Markov ordered. It's time we made our case directly. Moments later, Lyra Solon's holographic form appeared before Markov. The Nilarian representative's expression was guarded, her antennae twitching in subtle agitation. Ambassador Markov, she said, her tone measured. To what do I owe this unexpected communication? Markov wasted no time. Representative Solon, I understand the difficult position you're in. The Council is divided, and the decisions made in the coming hours will shape the future of this galaxy. Humanity has no desire for conflict, but we will not be intimidated. Our only goal is to ensure that the mistakes of the past are not repeated. Solon's eyes narrowed. Your actions suggest otherwise. Disabling a Draktharian probe was a provocative move, one that has only escalated tensions. We acted to protect our sovereignty, Markov replied evenly. The probe violated Terran space. Had we wanted to escalate, we could have destroyed it outright. Instead, we sent a message, one of restraint, but also resolve. The question is whether the Council is willing to listen. Solon considered this, her gaze thoughtful. And what exactly are you proposing? An alternative path, Markov said. One where the Council acknowledges humanity's right to self-determination and focuses on building a future of mutual respect and cooperation. We're willing to share certain technologies and resources to demonstrate our commitment to peace. But if we are forced to defend ourselves, we will do so with the full weight of our capabilities. Solon's mandibles clicked softly, a sign of her inner turmoil. She knew the humans were formidable, but their offer was tempting. If genuine, it could avert disaster. But if it was a ploy, it could spell doom for the Council. Meanwhile, Shrathka had not been idle. Sensing the tide beginning to turn against him, he orchestrated a bold maneuver. Calling upon the Draktharian fleet stationed near the Council's neutral zone, he ordered a show of force. Massive warships began to move into position, their imposing forms visible on the Council's long-range sensors. The message was clear, the Draktharians were prepared to act unilaterally if necessary. The sight of the fleet caused an uproar in the Council chamber. Delegates shouted over one another, their voices a mixture of outrage and fear. Lyris Solon rose to her feet, her calm demeanor giving way to visible anger. Shrathka, this is an affront to everything the Council stands for. Are you so eager to plunge us into another war? Shrathka's response was a sneer. I am eager to ensure our survival. The humans' defiance cannot go unanswered. Back aboard the Promethean, Markov and Echo watched the situation deteriorate. They're escalating, Echo warned. The Draktharian fleet is within striking distance of Terran space. Markov's jaw tightened. Then we'll show them what they're up against. Echo, initiate Operation Aegis. The AI's lights pulsed brightly. Understood. Deploying now. In the depths of Terran space, a series of hidden installations came to life. Massive energy signatures erupted as humanity's most advanced defensive systems powered up. Orbital platforms armed with cutting-edge weaponry locked onto the approaching Draktharian fleet. Simultaneously, encrypted messages were broadcast to the Council, displaying live feeds of the Terran defenses coming online. The effect was immediate. The Council chamber fell silent as delegates watched the displays in awe and horror. The sheer scale and sophistication of humanity's defenses were staggering. Even Shrathka, for all his bluster, seemed momentarily taken aback. This is not a threat, Markov's voice echoed through the chamber via the transmission. This is a statement of fact. Humanity has no desire for war, but we will not be victims. The choice before you is simple: work with us to build a future of peace, or risk a conflict none of us can afford. As the transmission ended, the chamber erupted once more, but this time the tone had shifted. Fear and uncertainty now dominated the discourse. Delegates who had previously wavered began to rally around Solon, who seized the moment to call for a vote on de-escalation and renewed dialogue with humanity. Shrathka's faction fought fiercely, but the tide had turned. Humanity's display of strength, combined with their appeals for cooperation, had struck a chord with many. When the votes were tallied, the resolution passed by a narrow margin. The Draktharian fleet was ordered to stand down, and a delegation was formed to negotiate directly with the humans. As the council session adjourned, Lyris Solon felt a mix of relief and trepidation. The crisis had been averted, for now. But the challenges ahead were immense. Trust would need to be rebuilt, and the scars of the past would not heal easily. Aboard the Promethean, Markov allowed herself a rare moment of satisfaction. "We've bought ourselves time," she said to Echo. "Now we need to use it wisely." Echo's response was succinct. "Agreed. The future remains uncertain, but today, humanity has shown its resolve." The aftermath of the Council's vote left the chamber in an uneasy silence, the echoes of arguments and declarations lingering like ghostly imprints in the air. Delegates dispersed to their quarters, some jubilant, others bitterly defeated. Lyris Solon, however, remained in her seat, her gaze fixed on the now empty center podium. Her mandibles twitched as she processed the events. The weight of responsibility bore down on her, but beneath it, a glimmer of hope sparked to life. Meanwhile, aboard the Promethean, the mood was equally tempered. Ambassador Markov, seated in the command center, reviewed the Council's final resolutions. Humanity's immediate survival had been secured, but Markov knew that true safety would come only with trust, a commodity more rare and fragile than any mineral or resource. Echo's voice broke the silence. "The Council's delegation will arrive in Terran space within 72 hours. Their initial demands include a detailed presentation of our capabilities and assurances regarding our intentions." Markov leaned back, exhaling slowly. "And what's your assessment of their sincerity?" "Difficult to determine," Echo replied. "While some factions genuinely seek peace, others may view this as an opportunity to probe our defenses further." "Then we'll need to strike the right balance," Markov said. "Transparency without vulnerability. Strength without arrogance. Let's prepare a full simulation to showcase our defensive systems, enough to deter aggression, but not so much as to provoke fear." The days leading up to the delegation's arrival were a flurry of activity. The Promethean coordinated with Earth's Central Command to establish secure meeting sites and ensure that every interaction would reflect humanity's dual commitment to peace and preparedness. On the surface, cities were lit with welcoming displays, while orbital platforms maintained a discreet but visible presence. When the delegation finally arrived, their ships were escorted by Terran vessels through a carefully plotted route. The alien representatives, a diverse group reflecting the Council's many species, disembarked at a gleaming Terran spaceport. Among them was Lyris Solon, her antennae swaying with curiosity as she took in the human architecture. Beside her, Shrathka, begrudgingly included as part of a concession, scowled at the displays of unity and strength. The first meeting took place in a grand hall overlooking Earth's shimmering oceans. Markov stood at the head of the table, her posture confident but not overbearing. She began with a presentation outlining humanity's history, its struggles, and its triumphs. The room fell silent as she recounted the lessons of Earth's past wars, emphasizing humanity's resolve to avoid repeating them. "Our goal is simple," Markov concluded. "We seek to coexist in a galaxy where mutual respect and understanding prevail. But make no mistake, we will not sacrifice our sovereignty or security to achieve it. Peace, to us, is not the absence of strength. It is the presence of justice." Her words hung in the air, a challenge and an invitation rolled into one. The delegation's responses varied. Lyris Solon spoke first, her tone measured but optimistic. "Ambassador Markov, your presentation reflects a perspective we have long underestimated. It is clear that humanity values not only survival but also principles. This is a foundation we can build upon." Shrathka, however, was less conciliatory. "Principles," he sneered. "Let us not forget that principles often crumble under the weight of ambition. The human's display of power cannot be ignored. It is a warning, not an olive branch." Markov met his gaze steadily. "It is both," she said. "A warning to those who would seek to exploit us, and an invitation to those who would join us in shaping a better future." The discussions continued over several days, each session marked by moments of progress and tension. Humanity's representatives worked tirelessly to address concerns, share technologies, and outline protocols for collaboration. Echo played a pivotal role, its vast processing capabilities providing real-time solutions and strategies that impressed even the most skeptical delegates. Behind the scenes, however, challenges persisted. Shrathka's faction attempted to sow discord, spreading rumors of hidden Terran weapons and secret agendas. But humanity had anticipated such tactics. Markov and her team countered with transparency, allowing select delegates to tour facilities and witness the operations firsthand. The truth, it turned out, was the most effective weapon against deception. As the final day of negotiations approached, a breakthrough occurred. Solon proposed a joint initiative, a collaborative research project focused on developing sustainable energy technologies. The project would be based on Earth but staffed by scientists from across the galaxy. The proposal was ambitious, but it struck a chord with many. This could be the symbol of unity we need, Solon argued. A tangible reminder that our shared future is worth striving for. Even Shrathka, faced with mounting pressure from his peers, begrudgingly agreed to support the initiative. The resolution passed unanimously, marking a turning point in the Council's relationship with humanity. The final ceremony took place in the same Grand Hall, now adorned with banners representing the various species of the Council. Markov and Solon stood side by side as the agreement was signed, their expressions reflecting a mix of relief and determination. The moment was broadcast across the galaxy, a signal that cooperation was not only possible but essential. As the delegates departed, Solon approached Markov one last time. "Ambassador, today we've taken the first step. But the road ahead will not be easy." Markov nodded. "It never is. But as long as there are those willing to walk it, there's hope." Aboard the Promethean, Echo offered its own assessment. The delegation's reception has shifted galactic sentiment significantly. While challenges remain, the likelihood of immediate conflict has decreased by 73%. Markov allowed herself a rare smile. "We've bought ourselves more than time, Echo. We've bought ourselves a chance." And so, humanity's chapter in the galaxy continued, not as conquerors or victims, but as partners in an uncertain but promising future. The lessons of the past had not been forgotten, and the resolve to forge a better path burned brighter than ever.